What's up guys? Noah here with The Ark, and today I'm going to talk about 3 things that we need to know so that we can build trust and avoid getting burned. So let's get into it. So unless you live under a rock, chances are you've had your trust broken in one way or another, or you've been the violator of somebody's trust. It's just part of life, and it's just a symptom of being human. But no matter how big or small the violation, the sting of betrayed trust it's painful, whether you're the offended or the offender. This can make it difficult for us to feel like we can trust someone again, or even trust our own instincts and ourselves.
I've never been more stressed out in my entire life.
As normal as it is to have trust issues, fear not. There is a way to avoid and overcome trust issues. And in order to do so, there are at least 3 things we need to know going forward, which I will dispense now.
You trust me? I do. You're calm. Here we go.
First, what is trust? We often intermingle the concept of trust with other concepts, which can cause a lot of confusion and can actually cause a lot of problems for us as well. Trust, in reality, it's a feeling of confidence that comes from your belief or opinion about someone. It's the mental picture that we form of other people inside our minds. It's what Dr. John Van Epp refers to as a trust picture. Wherever you might think that there's one relationship, there are actually 2. The actual person and your brain's version of that person, or your trust picture. For example, have you ever had simulated arguments in your head with someone and you think you know exactly how they're going to respond to your rebuttals? This is actually the trust picture that you have of that person. Trust is actually what we think, but it's not what we do with what we think. Trust is a mental action rather than a physical action. For all intents and purposes, let's just say that trust is all a mental game. It is your belief or opinion about someone. Number 2, how does trust work? Most of the time we trust or distrust someone based on very limited information. This is because our brains absolutely hate not knowing things. Why else would we come up with ridiculous conspiracy theories, try to predict the weather, or actually listen to psychics?
I'm a psychic, Jack!
Uncertainty by nature breeds insecurity, and since our brains are designed to keep us and those we love safe, it draws from 3 databases in order to fill in the gaps of what we don't know. These databases are, first, associations, which are our past experiences with other people or other things, our ideals, what we want, and stereotypes, what we've been told is true or what tends to be true. Because our brains do this, our trust pictures are actually very dynamic and change very, very rapidly for better or for worse. For example, let's say for the purpose of this experiment, you are married and you and your spouse just had a baby and you're looking for a nanny. And you have 2 options. You have this guy who we'll call Jimmy, or this gal who we'll call Jasmine. Right now, without you being conscious of it, your brain is tapping into these 3 databases in order to make the decision of who's going to be watching your kid. Maybe you knew a major tool in high school that always wore his hat backwards. And so when you look at Jimmy with his backwards hat, you associate that backwards hat with tool baggery, and you'd be less inclined to go with Jimmy. Or Jasmine, she's smiling, and you want a happy nanny to help your baby be happy.
You see, in every job that must be done, there is an element of fun.
So maybe Jasmine is your ideal nanny. Or Jasmine is also a female who are stereotypically thought to be more nurturing than males. So at first glance at these pictures, you would probably be more inclined to go with Jasmine. But what if I told you that Jasmine just got out of prison, or that Jimmy just graduated from some prestigious nanny university or Something like that. I don't know if those exist, but let's just say that they do. So how would your trust picture change? Would you still be leaning towards Jasmine, or would the scales start to tip in the favor of Jimmy? And keep in mind that a changing trust picture is actually very normal and it's healthy, and it's not something that you need to be ashamed of. Remember, it's our brain's way of keeping us safe. But our brains can be a bit like helicopter parents. Although well-intentioned, there are times that if left unchecked, they're gonna do more harm than good, even when they're trying to do the opposite. So let's talk about how to overcome that. But first, if you're getting value out of this video so far, please be sure to hit the like button down below and let me know down in the comments, which of the 3 databases does your brain like to tap into the most? I'm very interested to know. But anyways, the third point, how do I build trust safely? Betrayed trust is often the result of a trust picture that is built primarily on filling in the gaps rather than actual experiences with someone. When we try to predict trustworthiness rather than observing trustworthiness, that's where we get burned, and we dramatically increase our chances of getting hurt. In order to avoid this, it's important that we maintain some sort of awareness as to what is contributing to our trust pictures in order to assess its accuracy. First and foremost, we need to be sure that we do not see only what we want to see. We need to practice seeing things as they really are, even when it's unpleasant to recognize it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you need to be paranoid or overly critical of people, but just be aware of what's actually happening instead of trying to justify behavior just because you don't want a certain behavior to mean what it actually means. Just be aware and gather multiple relational data points. 2, look for patterns rather than isolated incidents. Anybody can be good once, but
one good deed is not enough to redeem a man of a lifetime of wickedness.
It seems enough to condemn him.
Indeed.
it's true. You know, everyone's gonna make mistakes, but are they good most of the time? Are these data points all over the place? Or is there a general trend that you notice one way or the other? Gather multiple data points. Look for patterns rather than isolated incidents. Third, take calculated emotional risks. My professor would talk about this in college a lot, how sometimes you just gotta take the leap of faith. In order to know if someone is trustworthy, they need opportunities to prove it, but those opportunities should not be drastically disproportionate to how much you know a person. Sometimes people take too big of a leap. So take calculated emotional risks. Think of what you've seen and give someone an opportunity to prove themselves. And if they prove themselves, then boom, that's another data point in their favor. And finally, probably the most important thing, pace yourself. This is normal and healthy, but that notion has been lost in this culture of instant gratification that we live in. There's no need to accelerate your relationship with somebody. A good, authentic relationship built on trust is not and should not be treated like a sprint. It is a marathon. So don't let anyone demand more trust out of you than they've earned. But don't be so hesitant to trust someone that you don't give them a chance to prove themselves. All right, guys, and there you have it. There are the 3 things that you need to know in order to build trust without getting burned. If you learned something from this video, please hit the like button and share this video with someone that you feel like could benefit from it. If you're looking for a way to cope with emotions such as anxiety and/or frustration, be sure to check out my last video here, or find another video that floats your boat here. Thanks for watching, and peace out.